Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
Good evening, everybody. Yeah. The Vietnam War was controversial, and there was a lot of heat involved in the Vietnam War, and I think it's only fitting that as we bring the moving wall honoring the veterans of the Vietnam War and those who died, that we should have some pretty bitter heat here. But, as with the Vietnam War, we withstand the adversity. So I want to welcome all of you to this ceremony, this opening and dedication ceremony, this welcome home ceremony for bringing the moving wall to Missoula. I want to, before I begin, thank everyone who has helped, friends, family, volunteers, Post 101 people, the businesses, the agencies, everyone. There's been so much help, the media, production people on our music, everyone who's helped. I'm not going to personally thank because I'd forget some names and then offend somebody, but I want to especially thank the people here at the Fort Missoula Historical Museum, everyone who's helped make this possible. So my thanks to you. We're going to begin our ceremony with the presentation of the colors by the Charlotte High School Girls Drill Team and the singing of the national anthem by Charlotte 8th grader Tawny Kerr.
Drill team, attend high. Forward, march. Drill team, halt. Ready, face, present, colors.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
By the way, placing the colors at the apex was our Post 101 member and former state senator Mike Halligan. I want to begin our ceremony tonight with a request for from Father Hogan to lead us in prayer. Before I speak words of prayer on your behalf, please consider three things. We are only because God is. Every human life is precious, no exceptions. We are citizens of a nation where people of all lands, colors, creeds, and ways of life journey with mutual respect. So let us pray. Great Spirit, gracious God, you create us and call us to yourself. You know the sadness and respect in our hearts as we stand here searching to find ways to remember those who died before their time. Words to honor those we love and to grieve possibilities never realized. We call on you whose love embraces all, and pray for our brothers and sisters whose ideals led them to foreign graves, or return to us with bodies broken, hearts shattered, or burdened by guilt. And we pray for our brothers and sisters of Vietnam. We call on you, the eternal God, asking that you unite us with one another in your creative, healing, life-giving presence. This I pray on behalf of all here gathered, through and in Jesus, the one who calls us to peace and nonviolent love. Amen. We are welcoming the moving wall to Missoula, and to officially welcome it to the city of Missoula, to this town that contains a number of veterans, is Missoula's Mayor John Engen.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and it's truly a privilege to be here this evening to join all of you in acknowledging the sacrifice and duty that this moving wall represents. It's a beautiful structure that provides poignant moments and opportunity for solemn reflection, and much of that is going on here, and I'm really glad that the city of Missoula can host this wall and continue to remember that sacrifice. I'd also like to welcome all of you who are here for all sorts of reasons, and all of them sincere and meaningful and thoughtful. And I'd also like to thank Dan Gallagher, who often thanks many other people, but Dan and his work at Post 101 keeps memories alive and honors the folks who have served our country valiantly. And I think Dan deserves a round of applause this evening, folks. And with that, I'd encourage you to spend some time walking the wall and reading the names and helping remember what happened in Vietnam. Thank you.
Several of the state's political leaders were unable to attend tonight, but they send their greetings to us. I'm going to read a letter from Senator Max Baucus directed to us. He says, "Dear friends, I'm sorry I can't be with you for this important and poignant ceremony. I'd like to thank everyone who made this event possible. The Moving Vietnam Memorial is a constant reminder of the sacrifices laid on the altar of freedom. In the Gospel of John, we are told that there is no greater love than to lay down one's life for a friend. And the men and women that we honor with this wall not only laid down their lives for their friends, but for every American and every person who breathes the air of freedom. As these brave soldiers left the comforts of home for the unknown jungles of Southeast Asia, they knew that they could be forced to lay down the ultimate sacrifice, that at any moment their time on earth could come to an end. But they also knew that in doing so, their legacy would live forever. It is not only through memorials or ceremonies that these soldiers are honored, it's any time a freedom is exercised or a liberty enjoyed. When a person has the freedom to vote how they want, to attend the church they want, to talk about what they want without fear of retribution, then the soldiers whose lives paid for these freedoms are honored. Never let us forget these brave men and women, and the brave men and women who are currently serving. God bless you, and God bless America. All the best, Senator Max Baucus.
You know, the Vietnam War, set in its time in the 1960s and into the 70s, carried with it a certain amount of energy. And that energy is reflected in the music, it's reflected in the things that happened during that era. Montana sacrificed much in the Vietnam War, over 300 who were killed in action in Vietnam. Montana has always donated more than its full share of volunteers, of people, to any war effort. And at this moving wall, we remember the 58,000 who died in Vietnam. We also particularly remember those Montanans who died in Vietnam. And at the wall in Washington, D.C., and here at the moving wall, people often leave memorabilia, leave things at the wall, things of remembrance for loved ones who are named on the wall. Tonight, the moving wall is making its only stop, or this week it's making its only stop in Montana. And it seems entirely appropriate that as we experience the feelings and the music and the sounds, some of the sounds of Vietnam and the Vietnam War, that we place some memorabilia from Montana at the wall, at the apex of the wall. So I'm going to ask Governor Schweitzer to place a flag, a Montana flag, and the cowboy hat symbolizing Montana as we listen to the music of the era. Again, this is Missoula City, and this also happens to be in Missoula County, and here to welcome the wall to Missoula County Commissioner Gene Curtis.
On behalf of the county, I would like to welcome you to this display of the moving wall. I think this will be a really nice reflective place for it to be for the next few days. And for folks who think that someone might have missed tonight's ceremony, invite them out to take their time and walk around and give their remembrances. I thought maybe I'd ask how many of you folks that are here tonight served during the conflict time, during the Vietnam era. If you'd raise your hand. Thank you. So we're happy that your name is not on this wall, but we know you all left part of you there too. So welcome to the ceremony and enjoy the rest of it.
Thank you, Gene. And I would encourage everyone to plan on coming out here. This wall, this exhibit is going to be open 24 hours a day, free of charge through Monday afternoon, 4 o'clock. So please plan on coming back. There's a tent over on the corner beyond the intersection in which there's a directory of names of those who died, the names that are listed on the panel. You can look up the name of a loved one. They also have some paper and some crayons where you can rub the name, in effect, rub over the paper, and the name of the loved one that you're remembering appears on the paper. We have those over there. We have memorabilia, we have souvenirs, we have people there to help you around the wall. So please plan on coming back. We're open 24 hours. This place is open at 3 in the morning if that's when you're most comfortable with being here. But do plan on coming back and bring your family and tell everyone. You know, I talked before about Montana's contribution in Vietnam. Well, I want at this time to welcome the wall to Montana for its only trip to this state in 2007, and to symbolically welcome the Vietnam veterans back. Montana's Governor Brian Schweitzer.
Never forget when our men and women return from military action today, when you see them on the street in uniform, when you see them at the airport, when you meet them as family members, say thank you. Let us never be in a position again where our politicians send our heroes into battle and are not there when they return to say thank you. Let us never again be in a position where our politicians send our heroes into battle and are not there to remember. Let us never again be in a position where our men and women, and in Montana we have served in larger percentages in every conflict in every other state in the Union, let us never again be in a position where the men and women who serve, the men and women who step forward, have the courage, have the training, who represent us all over the world, let us never again be in a position where the men and women who serve us in Congress don't have the courage to do the right thing. Thank you very much. God bless you. And God bless every one of you who have served this country. Thank you.
To echo those sentiments and to continue with the emotional aspects of remembrance of the Vietnam War, I want to present to you the man who was former state senator from Missoula, former president of the state senate, member of Post 101 for a good deal of time, to share some of his own recollections as well as the sentiments of some people who have visited the wall and left memorabilia at this moving wall. So I'd like now to introduce Post 101 member Mike Halligan.
Thank you, Dan. Tonight is about the veterans on that wall, and we don't ever want to forget that in anything that we do. When I enlisted in 1968, I managed to qualify to go to Green Beret training. I went over to Vietnam, assigned to the Green Beret unit, and the sergeant major behind the desk looked at me and said, "We don't need any more lieutenants in the Green Beret units. Where'd the lieutenants get killed lately?" The staff sergeant said, "Up in I Corps with the 101st Airborne Division." So I served as an infantry platoon leader with the 101st Airborne Division from November of 68 to November of 69. Had that honor. I didn't appreciate at all when I went in those freedoms that we all enjoy today, every day of our lives. It took the time sitting there in the hooches with your brothers in battle, listening to the stories of the young African Americans from the ghettos, from kids from the urban areas, suburban areas, and rural areas together in those hooches with the monsoon rains one day. 2 months later, it was 110 degrees. And all of us grew up so rapidly in that war to become the men that we are today, that it's those immeasurable returns that we have gotten from that experience that we carry with us that we will never forget. And it's something as family members of veterans that you experience the loss when that young man or woman goes off to war, and when they don't return, certainly that loss stays there, but there's always those pieces in your heart that can't ever go away, that won't ever go away, that you're going to share for the rest of your life, that you're going to share with your families. And this wall is about honoring those that never came home. It's about communicating with each other about them. But it's about the future. It's about how we are better people, we are a better country, despite all the politics, all the social upheaval, all the economic upheaval that was going on in that era. We somehow found the stability out of that to come through it. And a lot of us today, that war was part of that social and economic and political upheaval that let us grow up in a way that will not allow us to forget that. One of the honors to the veterans who never came home was a book written by Laura Palmer. Now, the war is a tremendous honor to those veterans, but what Laura did was take the poems and the letters that family members and friends have left for veterans, and she memorialized them in this book. And I'm only going to read one passage. And we all know about the experience, potentially, that's going to be related here. And it's a young man and woman who dated in high school. He decides to go off to college. He's a year older than she is. He goes off to college and she decides to break up with him, but yet they maintain a relationship. He decides then he'll go to Vietnam, so he enlists and he ends up being killed. She goes to the Vietnam Wall 17 years later to find his name because she couldn't bring herself to go and see his name. And as she went one day, she left a note. She put the note together over time and she left it there for him. She was supposed to leave on a plane the next day, but the plane got canceled or didn't go on time, so she had time to go back one more time. And much to her surprise, as she went back to look at the wall where his name was, there was a response. His name was Rick, her name was Carol. And here's the response that she read. It was, "Dear Carol, I did come home in the hearts and the minds of each of the living. Every man and woman that came back brought a part of me. I have talked to you with their voices and loved you with their hearts. Don't be scared, for I am always with you. I will always be there in the still of the night. Be still, listen, you will hear my voice." I think we all feel that way, that we will never forget. It's shrapnel in the heart, it's a way of healing. Thank you for coming out this evening and sharing yourselves with all of us.
We're going to have a presentation toward the center back, and so I'd ask, as the people walk through, just make way for them. And if the media wanted to go back there for their photography, go ahead.
I do not believe that any of us would exchange places with any other people or any other generation. The energy, the faith, the devotion which we bring to this endeavor will light our country and all who serve it. And the glow from that fire can truly light the world.
Sunny days seem to hurt the most. I wear the pain like a heavy coat. I feel you everywhere I go. I see your smile, I see your face. I hear you laughing in the rain. I still can't believe you're gone. It ain't fair you died too young, like a story that hadn't just begun. But death tore the pages all away. God knows how I miss you, all the hell that I've been through. Just knowing no one could take your place. And sometimes I wonder who you'd be today.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Would you see the world? Would you chase your dreams? Settle down with a family? I wonder what would you name your babies? Some days the sky's so blue, I feel like I can talk to you. And I know it might sound crazy. It ain't fair you died too young, like a story that hadn't just begun. But death tore the pages all away. God knows how I miss you, all the hell that I've been through. Just knowing no one can take your place. Sometimes I wonder who you'd be today. Today, today, today.
we'll be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
Sunny days seem to hurt the most. Wear the pain like a heavy coat. The only thing that gives me hope is I know I'll see you again someday. Someday, someday.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
I'm going to read a brief poem by a man named Tom Pablo, who I met only briefly, and it was several years ago, but he said this poem then, and it's one that really stuck in my mind, and so I'm going to read it tonight. It's called Gone Home. It says, I have answered the Master's call, so please weep not for me. I have laid this earthly body by, so please weep not for me. My troubles and pain are now behind, so please weep not for me. It's hard for the loved ones I've left behind, but please weep not for me. I'll always be found in fond memories, so please weep not for me. For I will be in the Master's hands, so please, weep not for me.
I should have mentioned, I missed my cue there, but I should have mentioned that Tom Pablo was with us in 1995 when we brought the moving wall to Missoula, and he helped us out a lot, helped us with fundraising. And Tom Pablo was a member of the Confederated Salish Kootenai tribe, a great guy who at the age of about 70 learned that he could write poetry, and he wrote great poetry, and some of his poetry was in Hollywood. Milton Berle bought one of his poems. He was, for a time, he was well known, and he was certainly well thought of, and he and his wife helped us so much. And Tom passed away a couple of years ago, and in a sense, this reading was a tribute to him. Tom was a World War II veteran who was at Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941. But this reading of his poem was not only for the poem itself, which is such a moving poem, but also in gratitude to Tom Pablo. I wanted to make a few remarks before the lightning comes and before we get into the reading of names. But it's just some things I want to tie in, the meaning of this moving wall, why it is so moving, and what, in a sense, we brought it to Missoula for, what we're here for tonight. You know, long before the Vietnam Veterans Memorial was built, humankind memorialized with statues and stories those who had fought and those who had fallen. Sometimes the statues depicted victory and conquest. Other times they depicted the tragedy of war. But whether it was a monument to the glory of the Caesars or the sorrow of the dying Gaul, whether it was a tale of Ulysses' journey back from Troy or the story of lost youth and life found in All Quiet on the Western Front, the means of looking back at war and war's veterans always seemed to have centered around the acts of war that had created the need to memorialize. In our songs and our monuments, it seemed we were remembering the actions in the war more than the human cost, the depths of feelings felt by those who endured, or the sacrifice of those who died, and the loss of all that might have been had war not taken away their futures. And then along came the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, the wall, this wall. And with the wall, the way most folks would look at or memorialize war and its soldiers was, I believe, radically and forever changed. Instead of grandiose scenes of battle heroics or unlimited pathos, the builders of the wall provided a memorial that moved its viewers with the simple power of a name. In fact, 58,000 names. Each person, whether a veteran, or one who had lost a loved one in Vietnam, or an ordinary citizen trying to understand our history, can look at a name on the wall, see their own reflection, and suddenly feel an unexplainable closeness to the person whose name they view. As we look at the expanse of the wall, this moving wall, we're overwhelmed by the enormity of the sacrifice in Vietnam. We see row upon row of names, but we're most moved by the message that seems to reach out from this wall, that although there are so many named, each speaks to us individually. Each name on this wall is a young man or woman whose life was cut short by war. Each of the dead was a future denied. Each soldier lost was also a loss of all that might have been, had not the war ended his life. Each was a parent's son or daughter, a father, a brother, a friend, a classmate, a buddy. For those named on these panels, there would never be another day under a sunny and blue Montana sky. No job or career to plan for. No more moments of tender love. Never a chance to see their child smile or hear their baby's laughter. But for those of us who remain, as we view this wall, there is one more moment for us to hear or see the honored dead with our hearts and to touch them with our thoughts and our souls. For a special moment, God gives us another chance to be with our loved one, to feel their spirit, to thank them for their service, and to let them know that we miss them and we love them. We can reflect, feel sorrow and pain, allow ourselves to grieve, and then feel the healing that comes from knowing we're still bonded across that ethereal gulf with these people in that place where their spirits now abide. And all of this comes through the simple power of a name. And that, I believe, helps explain the impact and the power and the emotional intensity that's found at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial at this wall. In that moment of closeness, we know that each of the listed dead is much, much more than just a name on a wall. A name, a person's name. It takes on the character of the person to whom it belongs. It becomes the embodiment of the person's entire existence, even of his spirit. To hear or read a person's name, especially the name of a loved one, is to bring that person so close that we can almost see and hear him. And without conscious effort, speaking, hearing, or seeing the name of one important to us can quickly bring a tear or smile. And when we find ourselves personally interacting with that name, the emotional impact is so strong that it almost seems to wrap around us and hold us close. This wall teaches. It reminds us of the price we pay in war and of the importance of honoring those who served in our name. And that's a reality we can never forget. This wall reminds us that war is not merely a political exercise, but is a very personal thing, and that we all are affected by the death of another. The great writer John Donne spoke of this back in 1623. In words that are just as true today, he said, "Any man's death diminishes me because I am involved in mankind, and therefore never sent to know for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee. Those who died in Vietnam will always be part of us, and we will always feel their loss. You know, the Vietnam War is now becoming a thing of long ago, yet it's as fresh today for those who experienced it as if it had happened just the other day. In a free society, we can and we should carry on our political discussions and arguments about war policy and our other policies, but the honor to be shown to our fallen soldiers rises above mere politics. God will eventually sort out the rightness or wrongness of our policies and deal with us accordingly. But it's up to us, the survivors, to offer the respect and the care that's owed to those who gave their last full measure of devotion in our names. This moving wall gives us that opportunity. An ancient biblical prophet tried to tell his leaders and hence his countrymen of their need to heed the words written on a wall by a divine hand. They didn't heed his warning to their later sorrow. And countless wise men and women throughout our history have spoken of the need to honor that which has kept us a good and free nation. And those who have died in our name in war, and those who served, are the ones who've always paid the high cost of that freedom. The moving wall tells us of that cost and gives us a chance to show our respect. And just as surely as it was true in the days of the prophet, it's up to us to read the writing on the wall. Thank you.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate you all coming out today to honor the veterans who served our country in Vietnam. It is important to honor those who gave the ultimate sacrifice and service to our country, and also to thank those who served and continue to serve in America's armed forces with bravery and distinction. We will never forget those whose names are inscribed on the Vietnam War Memorial and the Moving Wall. Both memorials remind us that war does not come without a grave cost. They also remind us that those who made the ultimate sacrifice served with a devout sense of love for their country and did not die in vain. It is said that during the war in Vietnam, all gave some and some gave all. It is incumbent on us to honor those who died by caring for those who have returned. It is my privilege to represent you in the United States Senate and to serve on the Veterans Affairs Committee. I'm working hard to make sure that all those who return from war have access to the services and recognition they deserve. In 1972, deep into the Vietnam War, Senator Mike Mansfield, whose seat I am now honored to hold, spoke of a great nation. He said that when the times demand it, it is wise for us to take a step back and look to those who served before. For some of us, this reflection is a daily exercise. To those of you who have served and those who are currently serving in America's armed forces, you have our nation's deepest gratitude. Thank you all for coming out to honor those who have served and those who have fallen in Vietnam. Now is an opportunity for you to say thank you to everyone who fought for us and to reflect on those who we lost. Senator John Tester.
And before I go any farther, I want to definitely say thank you to all the people up here on the stage, as well as, of course, all of you, but the people who are putting in their time and with these very gracious remarks. So, we're here to recognize the 58,000 Americans who died in Vietnam, but as I said before, we're here to recognize the Montanans who died in Vietnam. And in a little while, we'll be reading the names of the Montanans who died there. And I want to ask, hopefully there'll be more people who want to read a page of names to come forward at that time. I'll tell you at that time. But, you know, Montana is a special place. It's a special place for veterans, special place for service, special place to live and grow up, special people. And maybe nothing reflects that more than this song that has become our state song, that there's no place like Montana. At this time, I would like to ask the author of that song, LeGrand Harvey, to please sing the state song for us.
Well, I would like to welcome all of you here tonight, and I've been touched by the ceremony and the words that everybody has shared with us, and you know, I'm one of the lucky ones. I made it back. I wasn't a Montanan when I went over to Vietnam, from Tennessee originally. But I came back from Vietnam and made my way out to Montana and made it my home. Fell in love with it, and I've loved it ever since. So tonight, as I sing this song, I sing it with a great deal of respect, a great deal of honor to those that didn't make it back and get to experience what I get to experience each and every day that I wake up here in this beautiful state. And I just want to say welcome home to those Viet veterans, and just say that I love you all.
how heaven's supposed to be. When I die, that's where I wanna go. 'Cause there's mountains full of trees, meadows carpeted in green, silent snowfall, clear running stream. Yes, there's no place like Montana. Big sky country, my home. Place to set my spirit free. Rocky Mountain melody, these things are a part of me. Montana, Montana, my home. Montana.
I want to thank LeGrand. He's from Tennessee, which is the other volunteer state, as I understand it, right? Also, accompanying LeGrand is Rod Broad, playing the banjo. He's a master of many things, mandolin, banjo, and just being an all-around good guy. So I appreciate Rod for you being here. We're going to, at this point, at this juncture, in just a minute here, we're going to have the reading of the names of all the Montanans who died in Vietnam. And I'm asking the people who are going to read to go ahead and come forward over in this area again by the wall at this time. But leading into that, again, you know, we're talking about Montana. We're talking about the service and the sacrifice of all Vietnam veterans, especially of Montanans. And we're talking about the beauty of Montana and the land that these people came from as they gave up their lives in Vietnam. This state is loaded with talent. And an example of that talent, to play background music for the reading of names, is a Loyola High School freshman. And I heard her play the violin at I think it was a graduation ceremony, and she's just an incredible violinist. So I want to introduce Shawnee Stanton, freshman at Loyola High School. She's going to play some violin selections behind the reading of the names and begin with the song Danny Boy. So Shawnee, if you would.
Ayla Grand Nelson was killed in Vietnam, November 19th, 1965. Victor John Pirker was killed in Vietnam, November 27th, 1965. He was from Trout Creek, Montana. Kenneth Lee Durheim was killed in Vietnam, December 19th, 1965. He was from Billings, Montana. Lee Edward Nordahl was killed in Vietnam, March 1st, 1965. He was from Shoto, Montana. Danny Carl Schultz was killed in Vietnam, February 11th, 1966. He was from Hinsdale, Montana. William M. Christensen died in Vietnam, March 1st, 1966. He was from Great Falls, Montana. Wiley Cole Birkeland was killed in Vietnam, March 14th, 1966. He was from Hardin, Montana. Kenneth Max Knudsen died in Vietnam, March 16th, 1966. He was from Saco, Montana. Richard Leotis Mays was killed in Vietnam, March 28th, 1966. He was from Sydney, Montana. Stanley W. Saylor was killed in Vietnam, May 23rd, 1966. He was from Havre, Montana. Leslie Vern Sampson died in Vietnam, March 23rd, 1961. He was from Ritchie, Montana. Manfred Lloyd Cleve died in Vietnam, October 9th, 1964. He was from Whitefish, Montana. John Robert Urbane died in Vietnam, February 9th, 1965. He was from Helena, Montana. James Edward Underwood died in Vietnam, May 16th, 1965. He was from Shoto, Montana. Charles Gelden Dudley died in Vietnam, June 28th, 1965. He was missing in action. He was from Bozeman, Montana. Joseph E. Parker Jr. died in Vietnam, June 30th, 1965. He was from Butte, Montana. Mitchell Lester Anderson died in Vietnam, July 20th, 1965. He was from Kalispell, Montana. James William Stevens died in Vietnam, September 13th, 1965. He was from Thompson Falls. Dean Andrew Pogramba died in Vietnam, October 5th, 1965. He was from Three Forks, Montana. Mark Gordon Hinkle died in Vietnam, November 3rd, 1965. He was from Havre, Montana.
Jack Isham Dempsey, Helena, Montana, died June 17th, 1966. Joe David Kegley, Great Falls, Montana, died July 27th, 1966. David J. Allenson, Helena, Montana, August 12th, 1966. Richard D. Clark, Bozeman, Montana, August 25th, 1966. Daniel J. Janhunen, Butte, Montana, September 2nd, 1966. Paul Carey Weigand, September 10th, 1966, Dodson, Montana. Bruce Burton Backberg, Helena, Montana, September 19th, 1966. William J. Fisher, Arlee, Montana, September 22nd, 1966. Donald George Jordet, Reed Point, Montana, September 27th, 1966. William J. Garrity Jr., Haber, Montana, October 26th, 1966. David J. Hawkinson, Big Sandy, Montana, October 30th, 1966. William L. Sear, Missoula, Montana, November 8th, 1966. Douglas D. Kern, Billings, Montana, November 16th, 1966. Preston W. Polk, Whitelash, Montana, November 20th, 1966. Gary D. Byford, Roundup, Montana, November 21st, 1966. Larry D. Naz, Roundup, Montana, November 21st, 1966. Jean B. Incashola, November 23rd, 1966, St. Ignatius, Montana. Robert W. Green, January 8th, 1967, Harlem, Montana. Raymond D. Horner, January 10th, 1967, Butte, Montana. Weston H. Reese, Butte, Montana, January 13th, 1967.
Francis J. Zinda, Weba, Montana, January 14th, 1967. Louis J. Walder, Stevensville, Montana, January 21st, 1967. William J. Robbins, Abersoki, Montana, February 6, 1967. Edward N. Letchworth, Libby, Montana, February 21st, 1967. Douglas G. Street, Whitefish, Montana, February 28, 1967. Roger P. Richardson, Great Falls, Montana, March 9, 1967. Jacob F. Steffen, Missoula, Montana, March 10, 1967. James L. Darcy, Helena, Montana, April 6, 1967. Jack H. Anderson, Livingston, Montana, April 12, 1967. Howard D. Vanderaker, Conrad, Montana, April 14, 1967. Stephen Carl Nelson, Great Falls, Montana, April 25, 1967. Douglas W. Talon, Eureka, Montana, May 2, 1967. Joseph G. Klemennik, Great Falls, Montana, May 9, 1967. Daniel Warren Berry, Hardin, Montana, May 14, 1967. Edward R. Frank Sr., Helena, Montana, May 18, 1967. Terry Michael Elshire, Juliet, Montana, May 21, 1967. Ronald G. Babbage, Butte, Montana, June 2, 1967. Michael W. Haberneck, Missoula, Montana, June 11, 1967. Franklin D. Chopper, Brockton, Montana, June 13, 1967. Donald A. Lihuda, Missoula, Montana, June 15, 1967.
Dennis L. Casey, Lewiston, Montana, June 18, 1967. Walter N. Locker, Lame Deer, Montana, June 28, 1967. Darrell R. Jewell, Scobie, Montana, June 2, 1967. Gary O. Moore, Rosebud, Montana, July 23, 1967. George D. Miller, Glasgow Air Force Base, Montana, July 29, 1967. Frank Garcia Jr., Billings, Montana, August 4th, 1967. Patrick J. Fleming, Anaconda, Montana. August 15th, 1967. William E. Swengard, Fort Benton, Montana, September 21st, 1967. Douglas L. Freed, Missoula, Montana, September 25th, 1967. Roger D. Eckstein, Kalispell, Montana, October 2nd, 1967. Lyle A. Johnson, Great Falls, Montana, October 5th, 1967. Donald F. Wolf, Hardin, Montana, October 8th, 1967. Joseph L. Pokerjim, St. Ignatius, Montana, October 12th, 1967. Richard D. Applehans, Dodson, Montana, October 16th, 1967. Anthony B. Caldwell, Missoula, Montana, October 17th, 1967. Bernhard W. Miller, Shelby, Montana, November 10th, 1967. Tracy H. Murray, Miles City, Montana, November 20th, 1967. Jack Rogers, Custer, Montana, November 30th, 1967. Vernon E. Wedham, Glasgow, Montana, November 30th, 1967. And Richard R. Kuchera, Lewiston, Montana, December 7th, 1967.
James Lynn Burns, December 21st, 67, Billings, Montana. Milton W. Smith, December 29th, 1967, Belt. James R. Furman, January 4th, 1968, Larsland. Ronald Dierenberger, January 18th, 1968, Miles City. Dennis Sostag, January 31st, 1968, Butte. Zach Rowland, February 3rd, 1968, from Busby. George Kendall, Jr., February 4th, 1968, Missoula. Sanford Archer, February 7th, 1968, Melrose. Gregory Gifford, Hospitalman 3rd Class, February 8th, 1968, Billings. Lester Johnson, February 8th, 1968, Libby. Ralph Williams, February 15th, 1968, Billings. Michael Picard, February 20th, 68, from Bainville. Albert Woods, Jr., February 20th, 68, Hathaway. Raymond Gallagher, March 2nd, 68, Bozeman. David G. Anderson, March 6th, 68, Billings. Charles Boyer, March 6th, 68, also Billings. Robert Crowley, March 14th, 68, Butte. Edward Hagel, March 14th, 68, McAllister. James Osterloth, March 26th, Webo. Michael Doan, March 27th, from Browning.
Alan L. Boyer, Missoula, Montana, March 28, 1968. John M. Murphy, Thompson Falls, Montana, March 29, 1968. Delmar L. Lawrence, Thompson Falls, April 1st, 1968. Jimmy L. Pickle, Logan, Montana, April 4th, 1968. George E. Eden, Avon, Montana, April 5th, 1968. Lionel R. Crace, Missoula, Montana, April 7th, 1968. Gilbert L. Zerps, St. Ignatius, Montana, April 7th, 1968. David W. Doris, Kalispell, Montana, April 18th, 1968. Michael D. Padilla, Billings, Montana, April 20th, 1968. Russell F. Deitler, Rosebud, Montana, April 24th, 1968. David L. Barber, Denton, Montana, April 28th, 1968. John C. Matheson, Charlotte, Montana, April 30th, 1968. George E. Peters, Jr., St. Xavier, Montana, May 1st, 1968. Paul E. Chavez, Sanders, Montana, May 5th, 1968. Louis H. Nelson, Harleton, Montana, May 5th, 1968. Lee R. Light, Lewiston, Montana, May 7th, 1968. Robert H. Carroll, Missoula, Montana, May 12th, 1968. Alvy E. Wood, Livingston, Montana, May 12th, 1968. Robert E. Welch, Libby, Montana, May 13th, 1968. Florian J. Zane, Butte, Montana, May 21st, 1968.
Larry J. Burkhart, Billings, Montana, May 27th, 1968. Todd D. Kelso, Sunburst, Montana, June 10th, 1968. Harold S. Lockwood, Troy, Montana, June 14th, 1968. Marvin K. Robertson, Butte, Montana, June 25th, 1968. Ronald A. Ewing, Chinook, Montana, June 28th, 1968. Gary R. Hinther, Jordan, Montana, June 29th, 1968. Louis G. Healy, Dodson, Montana, July 5th, 1968. Robert V. Tillotson, Helena, Montana, July 10th, 1968. Stephen L. Byington, Libby, Montana, July 13th, 1968. William M. Johnson, Great Falls, Montana, July 13th, 1968. Gregory P. Helsley, Butte, Montana, July 23rd, 1968. Donald E. Siddell, Ross Fork, Montana, July 23rd, 1968. Michael F. Hendrickson, Great Falls, Montana, July 25th, 1968. Harry M. Becker, Intake, Montana, August 1st, 1968. Raymond G. Kristovich, Butte, Montana, August 10th, 1968. Stephen P. Murphy, Butte, Montana, August 21st, 1968. Glenn C. Fish, Great Falls, Montana, August 27th, 1968. Arthur L. Stockberger, Livingston, Montana, August 27th, 1968. Alan F. Ashall, Billings, Montana, August 29th, 1968. Michael L. Nath, Redstone, Montana, August 29th, 1968.
This first name will be the toughest. He was a friend of mine. David Sullivan, Army, from Missoula, Montana. Dennis Ware, Army, September 68, from Billings. Ronald Martin, Army, September 68, McLeod, Montana. Walter Howard, Marine Corps, September 68, Forsyth. Bernard Urin, Corporal, Army, October 68, Billings, Montana. George Anderson, Army, October 68, from Helena. John Weist, Army, October 68, Billings. James Hunt, Navy, October 68, Missoula. Jerry Snyder, Army, October 68, Bozeman. Lester Doan, Army, October 68, Butte. Larry Schwartz, October 68, Malta. Dwayne Cotet, Army, November 68, Kalispell. Dave Anderson, Army, November 68, Anaconda. Franklin Curl, November 68, Great Falls. Dale Rollins, Army, November 68, St. Ignatius. Charles Hahn, Army, November 68, Inverness. Ronald Moe, Army, November 68, Anaconda. Wayne Barnum, Army, December 68, Ronan. Michael Bouchard, Navy, December 68, Missoula. Reed Grayson Jr., December 68, Scobie.
Gregory L. Habits. March 20th, 1969, Valier. William Jodry. 27th of March, 1969, Shelby. Anthony Harness. March 29, 1969, Kyla. Ronald B. Ferguson. April 13th, 1969, Great Falls. Roger W. Hood. April 13th, 1969, Shoto. Alexander Neibauer. April 14th, 1969, Miles City. Doyle D. Dunbar. April 15th, 1969, Hamilton. Robert V. Willett, Jr. April 17th, 1969, Great Falls. Peter M. Stengam. April 17th, 1969, Havre. Austin Teeth. April 28th, 1969, Lame Deer.
Edmund J. Schmidt, January 1st, 1969, Antelope, Montana. Russell J. E. Havern, January 7th, 1969, Butte, Montana. Stephen Slusher, January 8th, 1969, Missoula, Montana. John K. Childers, January 21st, 1969, Forsyth, Montana. Dennis E. Ulstad, January 26, 1969, Billings, Montana. Robert E. Holton, January 29, 1969, Butte, Montana. Daniel W. Margrave II, February 22, 1969, Billings, Montana. Raymond A. Cole, February 23, 1969, Great Falls, Montana. Thomas N. Gross, February 25th, 1969, Helena, Montana. Truman J. Walsh, February 25th, 1969, Dodson, Montana.
Richard M. Johnson, Specialist 4, Army, February 26, 1969, from Kalispell. Russell D. Flanagan, Navy, February 26, 1969, from Great Falls. Leonard R. Catton, 2nd Lieutenant, Army, March 8, 1969, from Laurel. Daniel J. O'Neill, 1st Lieutenant, Army, March 9, 1969, from Butte. John J. Petrie, Specialist 4, Army, March 9, 1969, from Cutbank. Larry M. Smith, Specialist 4, Army, March 9, 1969, White Sulphur Springs. Lewis C. Harris, Navy, March 11, 1969, from Deer Lodge. Richard D. Satterwhite, Corporal, Army, March 19, 1969, from Butte. David C. Valance, Sergeant, Army, March 22, 1969, from Hamilton. John R. Yarger, Sergeant, Army, March 23, 1969, from Miles City.
Jim A. Barton, Great Falls, Montana, May 8, 1969. Roy S. Thomas, Trout Creek, Montana, May 10, 1969. Gary J. Grainer, Polson, Montana, May 13, 1969. Roger M. Corville, Pablo, Montana, May 18, 1969. John R. Summers, Helena, Montana, May 20th, 1969. Johnny B. Westerville, Big Timber, Montana, May 21st, 1969. Richard D. Pickett, Laurel, Montana, May 22nd, 1969. Gary O. Griffin, Billings, Montana, May 23rd, 1969. Stephen L. McCarville, Great Falls, Montana, May 24th, 1969. Dennis B. Biberdorf, Great Falls, Montana, June 3rd, 1969.
Kenneth P. West, June 1969, Butte, Montana. David H. Dunn, July 1969, Missoula, Montana. Waylon D. Stembridge, July 1969, Missoula, Montana. Irvin R. Serb Jr., July 1969, Great Falls, Montana. Bruce M. Langenay, July 1969, Missoula, Montana. Hal K. Henderson, August 1969, Bozeman, Montana. Alexander P. Pomeroy, August 1969, Great Falls, Montana. Arthur Grasser, August 1969, Glen, Montana. Clarence F. Bristol, August 1969, St. Ignatius, Montana. Christopher C. Webster, August 1969, Great Falls, Montana. Richard J. Kilwine, August 1969, Fromberg, Montana. Stephen R. Sanders, August 1969, Missoula, Montana. Richard J. Best Jr., September 1969, Kalispell, Montana. Joseph H. Benson, October 1969, Coram, Montana. Timothy C. Robinson, October 1969, Kalispell, Montana. Gerald T. Greeno Jr., October 1969, Billings, Montana. Kenneth G. Elmore, November 1969, Great Falls, Montana. Dwayne K. Peterson, November 1969, Coffee Creek, Montana. Arthur J. Rambo, November 1969, Libby, Montana. Robert R. Brown, December 1969, Fort Peck, Montana.
Stephen S. Oviatt, 5th of December, 1969, Bozeman, Montana. Raymond R. Fasano, 11th of December, 1969, Forsyth, Montana. Richard E. Westfall, December 17th, 1969, Polson, Montana. Gary M. Smith, December 21st, 1969, Missoula, Montana. Michael E. Steyer, 13th of January, 1970, Wolf Point, Montana. William G. Little, January 14th, Kalispell, Montana. Kenneth S. Bercier, 28th of January, 1970, Butte, Montana. Kelvin L. Johnson, January 30th, 1970, Fairview, Montana. Gary D. Thatcher, February 6th, 1970, Missoula, Montana. George E. Mattox, February 22nd, 1970, Miles City, Montana.
Robert J. Thomas, 17 March 70, Anaconda, Montana. Richard Inez, 21 March 70, Great Falls, Montana. William E. Taylor, 23 March 70, Billings, Montana. Leroy J. Flashing, 1 April 70, Webo, Montana. Barclay L. Volk, 17 April 70, Billings, Montana. Alan J. Colton, 22 April 1970, Terry, Montana. Eugene F. McNally, 16 May 70, Anaconda, Montana. Raymond L. Robertson Jr., 29 May 70, Butte, Montana. Ronald R. Tanner, 31 May 70, Missoula, Montana. James D. Rummel, 13 June 70, Florence, Montana. Leroy C. Check, 19 June 70, Havre, Montana. James R. Gore, 23 June 70, Sunburst, Montana. Keith E. Utter, 14 July 70, Eureka, Montana. Stephen B. Melnick, 16 August 70, Billings, Montana. Hima D. McConnell, Jr., 26 August 70, Thompson Falls, Montana. Jack M. Baker, 25 September 70, Ronan, Montana. Emil J. Nas, 5 September 70, Wolf Point, Montana. Leland M. Mells, 19 September, Flaxville, Montana.
Richard H. Stew, 1st Lieutenant, Army, 20 September 1970, Helena. Philip A. Nichols, Captain, Army, 13 October 1970, Kalispell. Dennis L. Zebarth, Specialist 4th Class, Army, 20 November 1970, Missoula. Patrick J. McGee, Specialist 6th Class, Army, 3rd of January 1971, from Alder, missing in action. Alan C. L., Specialist 4th Class, Army, 30 January 1971, Belair. Louis D. Meyer, Corporal, Marine Corps, 8th of February 1971, from Troy. Richard A. Lilly, Sergeant, Marine Corps, 18 February 1971, from Ritchie. Richard Frazier, Sergeant, Army, 20 February 1971, from Lincoln. Thomas A. Delwo, 1st Lieutenant, Army, 15 March of 1971, from Shoto. Greg Henderson, Corporal, Army, 10 April 1971, from Butte. Dean Isaacs, Sergeant, Army, 1st of June 1971, from Missoula. Charles Snyder, Jr., Staff Sergeant, Army, 9th of September 1971, Billings. Anton J. Schnobrich, Specialist 4th Class, Army, 22 October 1971, Clyde Park. Roger J. Kojetin, Specialist 4th Class, Army, 10 January 1972, Great Falls, Montana. Joseph J. Slipka, Jr., 1st Lieutenant, Army, 20th of January 1972, from Missoula. Terry D. Nice, Specialist 4th Class, Army, 10th of May 1972, from Havre. And Randolph A. Perry, Jr., Lieutenant Colonel, Air Force, 20th of December 1972, from Troy, missing in action. That is the total from the state of Montana, 267 men.
At this time, if anyone wants to say the name of a loved one they lost in Vietnam, please feel free to come up to the microphone. We'll spend just a few minutes on this, but if anyone wants to mention a name, if a name wasn't included in the readings that you think should have been, please come forward this time. Anyone wanting to mention a name of a loved one, come forward now, please.
Sometimes in making a list, things are overlooked, and one Missoula boy was overlooked on our list. His name was Lance Corporal Donald Alexander Lahuda. He was killed June the 15th, 1967. He was from Missoula, Montana. and he was in the United States Marine Corps. Thank you.
Come on up if you want to mention. Come on up and we'll form a line so we can get these, the names of someone that you want to remember.
I have a list of some very wonderful men. Harold Berg Jr., Douglas Craig Condit, Charles Thomas McCorkle, Elroy Eugene Byer, Joseph Dennis Fisher, Robert Paul Romer, Jack Marvin Baker, who was from Ronan, born 7/13/49. Today was his birthday. William Michael Johnson from Great Falls, died on this day in 1968.
Two names I'd like to mention. One is Don Dorval, who suffered ever since he came back from Vietnam, worked for our job service here in Missoula, and probably passed away because of the wounds that he received in Vietnam. The other one's Dan Ribbage from Great Falls, who passed away a few years ago in the same thing from his sufferings and wounds that he had from Vietnam.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Anyone else want to read a name? Say a name? I think it's appropriate also that we remember all those who came back and who then died because of the wounds and because of the problems of Vietnam, as well as the approximately 70,000 Vietnam veterans who have committed suicide since the war. Do you want to go ahead?
Anthony Rickey from Missoula and Dick Johnson from Alberton both committed suicide after they got home.
Anyone else? Okay, at this time we're going to conclude our ceremony, but following Father Hogan's closing prayer, during the playing of Amazing Grace, the first playing of Amazing Grace, we're going to have candles distributed among the crowd. I'd ask you to light them and share them with one another, light from one another, sort of to complete this circle of communication and of bonding. So, as we conclude this ceremony, I ask Father Hogan to please help us close with a prayer.
Again, before I speak words of prayer on your behalf, I invite you as a citizen of this land to journey inward and consider. Violence has become the language spoken by those in highest political office, and too often even in our homes. We all are called to actively resist evil in whatever form it presents itself, always with love, never with hate. We are still building nuclear weapons. Gracious God, in our remembering we commend our loved ones living and dead and all they could have been to your care. Through our memories, teach us to love so much that we no longer and never again send or submit our young people to the brutal inhumanity of war and death before they even know who they are. Gracious God, teach us to love so much that we no longer and never again raise voice, hand, or weapon against another of your children. Move us beyond our memories to a new determination to abandon the ways of violence a new awareness that war is never the answer, a new courage to be human, above all, to be human. Guide us from darkness to light, from confusion to clarity, from pain to joy, and from hate to love. This I pray on behalf of all gathered here, through and in Jesus, the one who calls us to peace and nonviolent love. Amen.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear, the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, we have already gone. 'Twas grace that brought us safe thus far, and grace will lead us home. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we know to sing God's praise. And when we first be amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now was blind, but
As we conclude, as we move into a bagpipe Amazing Grace, I thank you for coming and invite you to stay here and visit the wall, visit the tent with the names, visit your loved ones, come back again this week. And thanks for being here. God bless you all.